Welcome, everybody, to the LIPSEY'S Aim Higher podcast. I'm Rob Eberzino. We have Jason Klossner to my left. We have a special guest, Everett Deger, like Kegger. It's easy to remember.
So there you go.
I need help with names sometimes, but
that's okay.
But that one's easy enough. He's the senior marketing director for Kimber. So welcome in.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
excited to be here.
Glad you're here. We got a lot to cover. We got some new products. We got some classic products. We're gonna get into it all. So. Where do you want to kick off? Where do you want to start?
You bet. Well, first of all, thanks for having us on.
Sure, of course.
Kimber is actually right in the throes of a real terrific comeback story. So we've, in the last year, introduced our 2K11, which has been one of the most successful product launches in recent memory for the brand. So for people who are familiar with Kimber, we have almost exclusively been one of the industry leaders in 1911s for over 4 decades.
For sure.
So the 2K11, which is funny because it's nothing more than a high-capacity 1911, was what some people called unexpected from Kimber because they were just thinking that we were going to stay in that 1911 culture, but surprise, we broke outside of that mold.
Let's get into that a little bit. So we have the 1911, which I'm hoping everyone is familiar with out there, right? If you're watching this, yeah, you should be. But
I'm assuming.
So we have the 19. Let's start with the basics. We have the 1911, and now we do have the 2011 or Kimber's version, the 2K11. So what are the fundamental differences? Obviously, we've got 100 years have passed by. The gun hasn't changed much, frankly. There's been iterations over time, but really at its core, it's very, very much the same firearm as it was, upon its release by Colt, back then as the Army sidearm, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a reason John Browning's design has been ubiquitous for well over a century. Mm-hmm. And the 1911 has, for all intents and purposes, remained unchanged. But what we have on the table there and what we released this year is also what we call our next-gen 1911. So even though we're in more of a mature industry, guns like that are just terrific heirlooms and have a really great quality have managed to endure. And we've made ours optics capable. It still has that grip safety that you're familiar with, but we did change it out and we removed the internal extractor and went with a far more consistent and reliable external extractor. So the 1911s overall...
That's on your current 1911s.
Yeah, this is our next gen. So even some of our legacy models, they retain that original, we'll call it the government design.
Right.
The one thing a lot of people don't know is the original John Browning designs of that early 20th century almost all had external extractors. And his design of the 1910-ish, what became the 1911, didn't even have a grip safety, and it didn't have that internal extractor. The originals came with an external extractor and no grip safety. So if there's the purists out there, I'm probably going to blow some minds, but you can talk, and I learned a lot of this from the team over at Cylinder and Slide in Fremont, Nebraska years ago. There's a whole story that's in Utah that tells you about John Browning's story as a native there. And, we kind of said that, hey, John Browning would be happy that we brought back his external
original
extractor.
design.
Yeah, albeit a little bit different and tweaked for modern cartridges. So it's been really good.
Well, that's the other thing too, is most of the 2011s are chambered 9mm, whereas the original gun was a 45 ACP. So there are some, you have to make some concessions to have the reliability factors that we have in the 2011s, which it's funny, 2011s up until probably about 5 years ago were just considered gamer guns. It was not really taken seriously in especially in the personal protection world, much less law enforcement. And now they've kind of gotten a reboot, and now you're seeing a lot of that now. And I tell you, we when they showed us these guns, these 2K11s, it was about a year ago. We flew over and went into range, and we went and shot them, and we shot them a lot. I got a picture somewhere on my phone where there's a bin of 2011 or 2K11 magazines that are loaded, and I mean it's a bottomless pit of magazines, and they were like, "Y'all just keep shooting, keep shooting." Yeah. And it was hot, but man, there was probably a dozen people out there, and those guns ran like sewing machines. Yeah. Everybody came away super impressed, and it was the worst conditions. It was hot. The guns were hot. It was dusty. It was dirty. It started to rain. It was just like one thing after the other. But it's kind of made me. It gave me a whole new perspective on the design. It's like, okay, this is maybe viable now. Because it's. I
Well,
was
it makes-
super impressed.
It makes sense on a 100-year anniversary. It would feel like a novelty, right? Like we have to do this.
Right, we did it
Let's-
because we-
it's 100 years. Let's do something.
Yeah.
Industry wide, everyone kind of has their iteration. But as you're saying, so maybe it wasn't taken too seriously at first, but
Yeah, it took a little time to tweak it, but
become a proven.
yeah,
gun.
and Kimber's execution on the 2K11 is really, really good. It's
Yeah.
really good.
So we've got the modern versions of the 1911s, and now we've got the 2K11s. So let's talk about that. Let's get into some of the weeds, with the 2K11.
Well, sure. So, I mean, as we were talking
We
about,
got the pros here, right?
yeah, we have our Pro, the Royal that's out there, and then we have our full-size model, which is the optics installed Target model. So when it came to the evolution of where we're at now, Kimber versus where we were versus where we are, I mean.
Right.
It's kind of ironic you guys talk about the anniversary. Last year was Kimber's 45th anniversary, and we released a high-capacity 45 on the 45th anniversary. And it's really been a whirlwind because one of the things that kind of pigeonholed the brand for a long time was, lower capacity guns. Our Micro 9, 6 and 7 rounds. Our traditional 1911s, 7, 8, and 10 rounds. And that was kind of, well, hey, if you're going to get a Kimber, it's going to be there. Well, in just the last 3 years, between the introduction of the KDS-9, the CDS-9, which you also see out there, and then the 2K11 series, all those are high-capacity models. So it was really a complete shift away, not abandoning where Kimber has come from because we're honoring that DNA, but at the same time really embracing what consumers have been looking for. Man, I wish you guys would make a high-capacity. I'd buy that. How many shows have you gone to where people will say, oh, hey, have you made this in that caliber? I do that. And one of the funny things is that the more of those shows you go to, the more, just like the 10 sign that we're talking about, those stories continue to pop up and say, there's something to this. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't realize, we had a high capacity model in the early 2000s that just really, at the time, the consumer market wasn't really quite ready for it. And to your point, the originals were a lot more of a competitive type of gun for 9mm again, and the kinetics of that frame just really weren't built for that. But there was a lot of learning that went on and a lot of learning that was put into that particular gun. I mean, we've packed it with so many what you would consider aftermarket features that come standard on that gun. We probably listened to too many people and put a lot into it, but we want to make sure that we left nothing on the table.
Yeah, these guns are they're absolutely loaded with bells and whistles. I mean, Kimber's been so synonymous with the 1911 for so long, though not the original gun. I was going to ask you this one later, but the original firearm by Kimber back in 1979.
You bet it was. I'd say it was an 82 rimfire.
That is correct.
Yeah,
See, there you go. That's one of our 6 from the hips. I asked a little too early. But
No.
I actually didn't know that because the brand is so aligned with 1911s. Has been for so long. To know that it was a rimfire rifle that really started the company was interesting to me.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, the current ownership, Leslie Edelman, had partnered with the Warren family who founded Kimber, and the folklore, if you will, that I understand from the name was that it came from a Australian town that the Warren family came from, which is actually Kimba, so Kimba, and then they turned it into Kimber when they came over here because Americans really wouldn't understand that. So that's the folklore. That's what I can pass on, whether or not it's true or not. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, and we've been known for rifles kind of in the background for a number of years. And interestingly enough, we've reactivated kind of some hibernating rifle roots, and we're bringing back some woodstock rifles this year at SHOT Show, and we're also going to have some new caliber introductions.
Nice.
And I mean, it's really been a big part of the DNA for a long, long time. And you can't really be a firearms manufacturer without handling handguns and rifles. And there's been some opportunities that we didn't seize, but there's going to be a lot more opportunities that we can seize, especially considering now that we've got some more production for those products under our feet, and we have a lot of opportunity in front of us for 26.
So you've got a couple of rifles available, the Hunter series, I think, right? Mm-hmm. You're looking to expand that, or what you can talk about, I guess, for now.
Well, sure. I mean, as I mentioned on the Woodstock rifles, those are going to be something that people have been asking us for a long time.
Yeah.
We've had discussions where people are looking for some larger caliber stuff. And right now, obviously, the focus is on the 2K11 family and our core business. Yeah. But as that continues to grow, we want to make sure that, again, we're paying attention to what the consumers are looking for. It's like, hey, I used to have an 8400. I'd love to have that chambered in X caliber. It's like, well, hey, just keep your eye out on 26, and you'll probably see that.
And Kimber rifles are pretty unique because you do get the classic controlled round feed actions, but in smaller, lighter weight packages that are pretty handy. I mean, it really kind of combines the old rifle styles of the pre-64 Model 70s and stuff like that with the modern, more sleek, lightweight type guns. So Kimber rifles are pretty cool, and in my experience with them, they really shoot really well as well. So it's exciting to hear that you guys are going to be expanding that.
Yeah, dipping our toe back into the water.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
No, but so to go back to the 2K11, it's been a phenomenal success, and one of the key attributes has been the feature stack that we were talking about. Not only that, but the cosmetics. So I mean, in front of us here, we've got the Royal for our 2K11 Pro, which just debuted last month, and then also our 2K11, our standard model, which has a SRO optics installed. And the particular attributes go back to even some of the custom gunsmithing. You know, I'd mentioned Cylinder and Slide, Nebraska. They would put disconnector ramps to make that sliding action a lot smoother. They would polish the rails. And even on these here, we have partnered with Stan Chen for a custom mag weld that would otherwise have to be purchased aftermarket. This is an optics installed model, but it comes optics capable, and it ships with an optics mounting plate. The same with the Pro models. And then it also has a patented toolless guide rod for us. So if you're like me and you've torn guns down and you haven't gotten your fingers in the right spot and the recoil spring goes over your shoulder, you know, these have, if you're familiar with camshafts, all you have to do is press in and cam it over, and it locks that spring into place. So it captures it, and it really provides a lot more ease and anxiety relief when you have to take down the gun and clean it. So, I mean, the big features and attributes of this just aren't there with a number of the guns that are, you know, a lesser price out in the market, or even the same price don't have that. I mean, the larger model ships with 3 magazines. The Pro ships with 2 of the ultra-high capacity checkmate magazines. So what's different about that? Those come with a nesting magazine spring. So standard capacity is 17 rounds, but the ultra-high capacity is 19 rounds. So, I mean, if you can consider the fact that you're
That's a ton.
Yeah. I mean, if you find yourself in a firefight needing 19 rounds, you know, I was in the service. I never used 19 rounds in my sidearm back in the day. So definitely catering, again, to what people are looking for, compact features, as much features as possible, and then also as much capacity as possible.
Yeah. What about, you know, maybe some of the practical uses of the two? You've got, again, the newer version of the 1911 and now the 2K11s. While similar, you know, there are obviously, you know, differences that you're discussing, but, you know, maybe, I don't know, day-to-day use or use at the range, or you know, some of those different features, you know, that you know, people might want to explore, and maybe trying to decide between the two, you know?
Well, sure. So, I mean, and the neat part about both of our lines, the Pro and then the full-size model, is there's a number of different attributes. So you can buy models with or without a magazine well, models that have an aluminum grip module or a polymer grip module. So guys who are looking for, you know, a more stout, heavy built gun with that aluminum that would add the weight, or they like the higher texture of a carbon fiber and polymer grip. So we found that, you know, honestly, a lot of the younger segment wants to just go fast and shoot fast. A lot of that can be attributed to the John Wick series of films out there. You know, a lot of credit goes out to Taron Butler in California for working with Keanu Reeves and really getting him probably more familiar than I'd say most movies I've seen in recent memory with how to handle the gun, how to load it quickly, and how to make that look elegant and still be functional. So, you know, the full-size gun is designed around the competitive market. You know, the mag well for ease of reloading, the optics installed again for quick target acquisition. So people who kind of want to step into that, but they also want to maybe have that motion picture feel or something.
Right.
They have that ability with the full-size gun, and then they also have the ability with the more compact model, the Pro. So the neat part about the Pro, and I'm not a student of appendix carry, but that's remarkably popular now. And what is it? It's kind of I don't know if you guys remember old Bob Munden, who is a 6-shooter for years. He drew faster than anybody I'd ever seen, and he always drew traditional 6 guns, right? But everybody now is lifting up the shirt and going to an appendix carry to activate the firearm quickly. So when it comes to the Pro, that's exactly what we're looking for, is to say, hey, you know, people were wanting the full-size gun. Well, that's a lot of pistol to carry. And you can get a lot of all the same attributes, as a matter of fact, except for maybe an adjustable target rear sight. You can put an optic on there, but if you want the adjustable sight, you can go online and buy it. So, I mean, it's two different categories, but it still covers a lot of breadth. So concealed carry on the pros and then competition on the full size.
Well, and now in the optics world too, the shorter sight radius is not a penalty anymore. It used to be back in the day, people who were shooting competition or were wanting to eke out the most accuracy in their guns, they stuck with the 5-inch platform because their sight radius is a little bit better. In theory, a little bit easier to make accurate hits, especially at distance. With a dot, doesn't matter. Yeah, as long as you, right. And that's always been the beauty. It's funny, the whole 1911 Commander series, which was the shorter, 4.25 inch, 4-inch type barrels with the full length grip, came out in, I think, 1950, I don't know, quote me, 52, 53, something like that is when the Commander came out. And now, what's the current hotness in polymer striker-fired guns? It's full-length grips, short slides. It's, again, like Everett said earlier, nothing's new.
Right.
We've everything comes back full circle again. And with the dot revolution, that really, I think, is kind of here to stay because now you've got the platform, the grip platform, and the capacity that shoots really well. You got a slide that works really a little bit faster, a little quicker out of the holster because it's shorter. And quite honestly, it seems like in my experience, especially in 9mm, the slightly shorter slide is actually an attribute. A little bit less weight, tends to cycle. You can spring it a little better. It's a little quicker. It's a little flatter. It's not as slow of a return as it is with a 5-inch gun. So I can imagine this pro model, especially at 9mm, is going to probably be the hotness for a lot of people, even guys who are planning on using it as a range gun, not necessarily a carry gun.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and that's what it's designed to do, right? I mean, for people who are looking for those attributes, but in a smaller package. And I mean, I'm glad you mentioned the kinetics when it comes to the movement of a 9mm slide. I mean, we're one of the only companies, if not the only company, that has full-size models available in 9 and 45. Mm-hmm. And in the future, we'll be making a 45 model for the pros as well. Just because, that core audience that loves the
purist.
The purist who wants that 45 automatic. I mean, and there's nothing to argue with the knockdown power. So, and I'm glad you brought up the optics piece too, because there's just so much more that it adds to the entire handgun category. The quick target acquisition and the flat shooting aspect. I mean, that Bob Marvel disconnector ramp. Any of those attributes that allow the slide to reciprocate reliably and to return to target. I mean, that's what a lot of people want to do, but they don't realize that there's a little bit of body kinetics that go into that, and a little forearm strength that makes sure that you're going to have that repeatability. And it just doesn't come with the gun. Gets you halfway there, and then you have to take it the rest of the way.
You got to pull your weight on that.
You do.
Exactly.
What else do we want to cover, Everett? Is there anything else you want to highlight on these, what we have in front of us, or otherwise? Any of the classic lineup stuff you have? I mean,
you bet. I mean, so probably to round everything out that we have in there that we haven't really touched on is our CDS9. So that's our covert double stack 9mm. So in front here, you've obviously got our 2K11, our 2K11 Pro, our next gen 1911, which is kind of where we're the I would say the last frontier for that design, if you will, and then the CDS9, which is a high capacity, what I would consider the next evolution of our Micro 9, and in some instances what we want to call our 365 killer down the road.
Oh,
so yeah, I did say
bold statement,
bold move, but
gauntlet's been thrown down.
Yeah, so the CDS9 has been really, really strong for us. So it's not just a compact gun. So when it comes to a lot of the features and attributes of that, we took exactly what consumers were looking for and packed it into an enhanced Micro 9. So what's that mean? Ultimately, it has.
I like how you ask the questions. It's great. It saves me some time.
I do that in the morning when I shave. It's like, so how am I going to answer this question to my leadership in the morning? But
go ahead.
No, the CDS9, it has the one trend over the last several years is people are looking for a gun that can almost do it all and have all the bells and whistles. So you have a fully ambidextrous safety, so left and right hand safety that can be actuated. Right. It doesn't protrude too much because it is designed to be a concealed carry gun. It also has a strong and weak side or left and right-handed slide release. So it does eject primarily to the right, but it also has a reversible magazine release. So it is truly a fully ambidextrous firearm. So, I mean, one thing over the years, and I'm sure you guys have probably heard this, is, I wish you made a left-handed rifle action, and we've gotten those questions. But, I mean, I think that so many instructors over the years have trained so many left-handed people to shoot with the right-handed features that has become ingrained to a lot of I'd call it legacy shooters, right? But the younger set, they're like, well, hey, I really kind of want something for me. Maybe it's that customization, and we took that to heart with this model. So, I mean, it has a flush fit 10-round magazine, 13-round magazine, or a 15-round magazine. So capacity is no longer an issue like with some of our legacy products.
15. Wow,
Yeah, 15 rounds. You can mount a light on it, and then you can also go direct mount with a Holosun optic. So we also have a threaded barrel model, and I would keep your eyes peeled at SHOT Show. We're going to be enhancing the size of that to go head-to-head with that particular model I was telling you about earlier.
Wow. Well, and the beautiful thing is, now that it's a little more common for 2011 style guns being carried or shot and use it to range, if you want your smaller carry gun to have a commonality of manual of arms, if you're used to running a manual safety, if you're going to the range every other week and shooting a 2K11 and you're running a manual safety and a slide release in a certain position and everything else, it only makes sense to have your everyday carry gun have a similar feature set.
Yeah.
Because that's what you've trained on. That's what you've practiced with.
Right.
And so, if you're going to be that guy who is going to carry a 1911-ish style gun, that gun as a carry gun might make more sense than a striker-fired non-manual safety polymer gun because it is a different manual of arms.
Well, you want that familiar transition.
Yeah,
from
that muscle
from the
memory
range
type
to
thing. Yeah,
ADC.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and the one thing that a lot of other manufacturers have sacrificed when it came to the compact nature of firearms is trigger pull. So you end up having a trigger bar that would engage a sear, and it would end up having to travel around and have this neat little racetrack of how it gets to what it needs to go in order to activate the striker or the hammer. So one of the great attributes of the CDS9, again, is the trigger. So between the 2K11, our legacy 1911s, our CDS9, the KDS9, it all relies on that hallmark trigger bow system that John Browning designed. It's literally what anchors that gun and why it's still around, right? So that trigger bow travels around the magazine, and then it engages the hammer and the sear directly. So you have that take up, that wall, and then the very, very smooth break. So even though the CDS9 has a pivot point, it engages a trigger bow in the exact same way. So you have that really smooth pull, the wall, and then the break. And what we found is it's like, we're not going to try to give you a better trigger bar or reinvent a polymer trigger that so many people aftermarketly do well. We're just going to start to make the trigger better out of the box. And we've done that with all of our introductions in the last several years, is we want to say, hey, the finish on the hammer and the sear is crisp. The engagement, perfect. And then the break is reliable as you possibly can. So people who understand the fundamentals can get up behind a gun, put their finger on the trigger, and they're like, okay, now it's going to go. And they can rely on it every single time. It isn't a guesswork. There isn't some sponginess or squishiness. It's very, very deliberate every single time.
And it's consistent between their match gun,
Right.
their bedside gun,
Yeah.
their everyday carry gun.
Yeah, all straight
There's
down
something
the
to be
line.
said about that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Right.
What else? What else we got? What else is coming up? Anything else?
You bet. So, I mean, we've been very fortunate. A lot of folks that have gone out there and purchased Kimber have seen what we've been coming to market with. We've heard that they're excited because we're a little bit of a comeback story.
Yeah.
Again, we were almost kind of relegated to the 1911 space for a long time, but with our KDS9, our CDS9, and then obviously the 2K11 and now the Pro, capacity is no longer something that doesn't belong to Kimber. We've got 3 really exciting line extensions for not only the 1911 next gen, but the 2K11, as well as the CDS9 that are all going to debut at SHOT Show in January. So I definitely think if you are holding out and waiting for your tax returns or to see exactly how Christmas is going to pan out, Kimber is going to be on your radar for 2026.
Well, your engineers have been hard at work, and I know we've talked a little bit. I know your marketing plan, your development plan is very aggressive. Coming into this year and next year, and so we're really looking forward to seeing what's coming out.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been a challenge. I mean, I've been in the industry now for 17 years, and the days of magazine covers leading the way are no longer the case, and that's tough, right? I mean, but we've, just like being available for your podcast today, we are out in front with the consumers. We've been at CanCon, the Trigger Cons, and things like that. A lot of the regional events, we've partnered with Palmetto State when doing the gathering, and we want to be doing those again in the future. So if you're interested in Kimber, you want to get your hands on one and test drive one, just take a look at some of your local dealerships, find out where we're going to be, get your hands on them, and by all means, take them out to the range. We've got a lot of range programs with a lot of our local dealers. If dealers aren't in a range program, ask your area reps. I mean, there isn't any limitations that we're putting on getting people access to Kimbers, especially the new Kimbers.
Right. Jason, anything you want to add or finish up?
No,
with?
like I said, we kind of closely followed the whole 2K11 process from, they were real excited about this project, and rightfully so. And obviously we got a kind of ahead of a game peek at it, and got to see them making the guns, got to go out and shoot them. And, they did a really good job on it. It's funny, a lot of people in this industry will find something that's hot and then just throw out a copycat to try to be out there. And I think Kimber took a little bit more or a reasoned approach here and really made sure that the gun was right before they did it. And they teamed up. I'm liking how they're teaming up with, people like Stan Chen to do these type parts, because I think it makes the sum of the project even that much better. And now you're not having to compromise. And when you're talking about guns at this price point and at this function level, people don't want to compromise. And so hats off to Kimber for finding those parts and teaming up with the right people.
So everything's very seems very intentional and really well thought out. And
well thought out. I mean, they brought some real subject matter experts in to consult on this. They had them out at the range, and they had a reason why they did everything. You say, well, so why'd you do this?
Right.
And it wasn't like, well, it looked cool. That's not the answer we got.
We needed to get a new product.
Yeah,
out there.
no, it was well, we did it because it functioned better with this, and we found the magazines interface better with this, and we wanted to make sure it worked with this ammo. And I'm like, okay, good answers, so solid answers. So it was a really good deal, and so I think this new Pro model is going to be a real contender out there for the guys looking for that, to jump from maybe that striker world to a single action world. That is a gun that can do a lot of things.
I have not shot that, so feel free to leave it behind.
You've got one. You've got an extra one.
Right, cool. There you go. So I think I have a lot of high expectations for it. So I think it's gonna be really good.
Well, we really appreciate you coming by, sharing some of this stuff with us. And again, we're looking forward to these are we're doing really well with these, and looking forward to see even more coming up. So you guys are pretty easy to find on social media and all that.
Yeah, we've got a really solid Instagram following and Facebook, and we comment occasionally on X here and there. So we're around.
Occasionally.
Well, look, I know you guys have some big SHOT Show plans to launch. We have the spot. We always have the setup at SHOT Show in the booth.
Yeah.
So plan on coming down and
we do like a mini version of this in the booth.
So and so make sure and we'll have some cool stuff from Kimber at SHOT Show to show you. So
absolutely,
we can do some actual revealing. So
you better make good on all my promises I had here.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It puts a timeline on it. They have to do it now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Back myself into a corner.
Yeah, SHOT Show waits for no man. I can tell you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's coming whether you're ready or not.
Right.
So find Kimber on all the social medias. You can find us, of course, at LIPSEY'S Guns, all over the social medias as well. And until next time, aim higher.